Hi, I'm Joe Crabtree. I'm a PE instructor from HAP Doncaster and I work with Young Offenders Interventions. Sorry I couldn't make it today.
How did you get involved in the Active Games for Change project and what interested you about the project?
So initially I was asked to attend a training day by my manager, obviously led by a dealer and I think it was Jordan. Obviously they took us through the games, obviously spoke about the theory side of it. But I could really get on board with the games. I thought they were simple but they're effective and obviously really importantly they're enjoyable. I found the reflection and the capabilities that they were trying to develop were really relatable. I thought they were important. Obviously like around self-management, decision-making skills, things like that. I thought they were really, interesting. I think that the games were really simple enough to translate to the offenders and how they relate to the offenders' lives, both inside prison and on the outside. I just instantly knew that I wanted to be on board with that.
Please talk us through the process of how you got the games going. Did you encounter any challenges?
So as soon as obviously the training finished the next day, then I began planning what games I was going to do in what order, kind of things like that. I mean, that was quite important to me. Obviously, did I have the right equipment? Obviously, the games are really simple to set up. There's not much equipment needed, but to make it 100% effective, I felt like I needed slight little bits of equipment, such as like blindfolds for some of the games. So his textiles unit made some of them for us. I went to work services, had some tubes made for one of the games. Obviously, I had to get some bins, things like that. Yeah, I just thought that like little things like that would be really quite effective, and again, it just keeps the lads engaged a little bit. So I did that. Yeah, so then I went and started planning my sessions and started delivering them. Challenge as well, so not necessarily a challenge, but looking back upon myself, I felt my reflections were probably a little bit poor perhaps on the first couple. I didn't emphasise these enough. Now looking back, I think that it's particularly important, the reflection side of it. I think really needs emphasising. I think that's like where the bond's kind of made between yourselves and the lads. So not really a challenge, it's more like a bit of a self-reflection. Whereas I didn't feel like I was good with that. So looking back now, I can appreciate how important they are.
Can you talk about any changes you may have seen in the young people before and after playing the games?
Yeah, so personally, I have seen a change in the lads, and that's more of on a personal level. So have they got more respect for me? I certainly would feel so. Have I got more respect for them a little bit? We have built that bond, so yeah. Has the jail seen a change in the lads? Now, I'd question that perhaps. We've still had lads that have been involved in acts of violence, been like abusive to other members of staff, things like that. So I question whether their behaviour as a whole has completely changed, but the relationship between ourselves and things like that is, I've seen a change in it, definitely. I always use like with one gentleman, first week he came down, his self-management really poor, engagement not the best. We had a bit of a fallout, things like that, we were a bit impatient. Again, so we had this fallout after the first session, and we talked it out, discussed it and things like that, and we both kind of highlighted what we needed to change. I just needed to keep him busy basically, so now he's like my right-hand man. If I need any help setting up games, he's there doing it. If I need someone to get me some bibs, collect the bibs in, he's doing it. If I need anything doing, he's my man. So like now, after he completed all these games, he's my man now, where he helps me kind of as a mentor set up the games for other groups and things like that. So a bit of a mentor, so it's really seen like a change in like that individual. So definitely I've seen a change in behaviour there.
What has been the best thing about running the project in your setting?
Personally, I think like the best thing that I've found is the engagement that I've had from the lads that have been involved. Obviously, I've been here over 6 years now. We've run football, basketball, things like that, and they soon get bored. Whereas I think this is something completely different than not seen before. Like I said, the engagement's been absolutely brilliant, so I think that's been good. I think like the rapport that I've built between the lads, and I think a lot of that does come down to the games are important, obviously, but I think the reflections again. I think that it's it encourages the lads to think about the impact that they have on themselves and others, the impact that they have as a team and things like that. So I think like the reflections, like I said, I didn't really emphasise them in week one and like particularly the first week, whereas it's really surprised me like how important the reflections are and the engagement that I've had really. So yeah, probably engagement's probably the best thing.
What advice would you give to future trainers looking to start the games with their young people?
So, I mean, personally, like I've said before, I think the reflections are absolutely massive. So I think you really need to get on board with those reflections, really drive them home, sell them to the lads, things like that. Because I think as an instructor, if you're not on board with them and if you don't feel the importance of them, then you're not really going to pass that on to the group. I found it quite effective to have a big chat with the group beforehand and kind of like, you know, outline what we expected from them, what they expected from us, highlight who the scheme's actually for. Now, you know, once they realise that it's for them and it's for their benefit and it's a privilege, then I think that, you know, like they seem to, like they say, the engagement seems to increase a little bit. Often we have it where the lads think that they're doing us a favour by coming down, things like that, but with this Active Games for Change and that, they realise they're working on themselves, it's all about them, so, you know, be open, speak to them lots, and, you know, that's it, really emphasise those reflections. Thank you.